It's my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on. It's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it. Sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this shit, bro. What's up, guys? I'm in New York. I've been traveling. I'm a little late on today's show, but it's a good one.
It's my favorite part.
I am talking about the destruction of Disney. And,
Isn't that heavy?
man, this is a bummer. I'm a huge Disney fan, big Walt Disney guy. I was raised on Disney films by my mom and the Muppets, and one of the first Disney acquirings was the Muppets, and then they went on a buying spree. Now like 2 decades ago, starting of Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars. Star Wars is the least of my fandoms, but I have a lot of really great friends who love Star Wars. But I'm a huge Muppet guy, huge comics guy, and probably I don't know if I'm more Marvel or DC. I love both. I couldn't necessarily pick. And there was a moment in time, a decade ago, where I was just like, holy shit, this company is going to go through the roof. And it was around when John Lasseter, who was the creative head of Pixar, had been made the creative head of Disney. The Me Too movement was used to get Lasseter out at Disney. You can dig into this subject hard, and you'll find out that, he was essentially removed for long hugs, which is just sort of strange. This guy is the creative dynamo of Disney. And just so you have a little bit of an idea, like what they were working with John Lasseter right before this whole era that we are in right now, the DEI era, for lack of a better word. And I call it the DEI era because it is the politicking people who wanted to use their ethnicity, their sexuality, their sex to get themselves jobs. And I say this is the truth, because I work in the industry. I work in TV. I work in comics. I work in all of these areas. I have friends who work in film. My brother's a filmmaker. All of us. I am in this fucking community. And I'm telling you, the DEI initiative that happened, it did not help out the really talented blacks and women and Hispanics and whatever. It did not help talented people to get the jobs that they rightly deserved. The people who were having trouble getting into the industry yesterday are still basically in the exact same place. A new crop of people who were pushier about their identity and were less devoted to their craft came in and have taken over Hollywood. They're the producers, they're the writers, they're the directors, they're the everything. They don't give two fucks about any of this material. They don't care about the stories, they care about themselves. They care about telling their stories. They care about telling personal stories. They're people who have tended to be independent filmmakers. Great place to have them. Terrible place to have them adapting stories from the Bible, which is essentially what you're doing when you're adapting Marvel Comics and DC Comics and trying to continue Star Wars in the George Lucas vein, trying to continue Lord of the Rings in the J.R.R. Tolkien vein, trying to continue Doctor Who in the vein of all of the great seasons of Doctor Who that have come before. And these people have been shown not to be able to do this, many of them. I think a lot of them actually are very much doing this on purpose, or destroying these things on purpose. I think a lot of the choices are so egregious, so insane, that they suggest a deeper, thought-out effort to destroy the thing. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because there is something weird going on here. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is the film that brought the Walt Disney Company into prominence. This was like, Disney's folly. He's going to waste all this money. And this movie changed the world. They got an honorary Oscar with 7 little Oscars behind it. This is a definitive moment in filmmaking. This is the invention of a genre, like Pixar did years later with the digital animation, computer animation. This is world changing. And this leads to a theme park, something that we take for granted, a themed park. The park is themed. What's the theme? The theme is Disney and all the things associated with what Walt Disney does. What did that used to be? It used to be Mickey Mouse and Goofy and Donald and all those cute characters, right? And Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, Cinderella, Peter Pan. The initial renaissance at Disney that Walt ran includes first Snow White, but Pinocchio, Fantasia, which was a big problem for them at the time, but it still holds up long term as an incredible piece. Dumbo, Bambi. And of course, there's that era where the wartime happens, and they end up doing Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros and Make Mine Music. There's a lot of weird movies kind of that came out during that time. The aesthetic of what Disney was changed for a moment because of the war and a whole bunch of other things going on. Even though there's some really cool things that come out during that time. Victory by Air Power is quite a cool documentary with animation in it. I'm Disney obsessed. Like when I was a kid and I went to Disney, the internet wasn't the thing. I'm 42, so I called. There was a Disney hotline where you could ask them any questions and they would give you the answers. And I was on the phone for a half an hour writing down in order every Disney animated film ever released, and every Disney live action film with every Disney live action film with some amount of Disney animation in it. And I made lists of these, and I went home and I sought to see every one. And it was difficult actually as a kid. I didn't get to see kind of every one until I was older. Some of them I had to find like on YouTube or get like dubs of things, Fun and Fancy Free and different films that weren't made available. But I did eventually see every Disney animated film. I own them all. I had them all in various capacities. I think at a certain point for Christmas, for my then wife, I like finished our collection, for both of us kind of thing. But I did it like for her, but I did it in a really cute way. So like, but it was for both of us, but it was for her too. It was cool. She's a big Disney fan too. We had done our honeymoon or some of our honeymoon on a Disney cruise, and going to Disneyland. And, I wouldn't necessarily call us Disney adults because we're a little cooler than what that term has kind of come to be. But we love Disney.
What is HelloFresh? It's farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients delivered right to your doorstep. It's seasonal recipes and skip trips to the grocery store. You can always count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. There's always something for anyone to enjoy on HelloFresh's weekly menu, with 50 chef-crafted recipes to choose from each week and customizable options to make your meals just the way you like them. You'll be able to easily satisfy any craving. Plus, save valuable time during the busy holiday season with much fewer trips to the grocery store thanks to HelloFresh Market. There's over 100 add-on items you can add to your weekly box, like quick breakfasts, packable snacks, beverages, and more. While I've certainly been saving time with my HelloFresh orders, the thing that I can't get over is the waste. As in, there is none. With everything perfectly portioned for us each week, I never have any good food that needs to be thrown away. Have exactly what I need and no more. And it makes me so happy to think about how much food didn't go to waste when you expand that beyond just me and my family, but to all the other HelloFresh families out there who don't have any waste either. I don't know about you, but wasting food drives me crazy, but not with HelloFresh. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free-CGA. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/free-CGA. That's coolest geek alive. America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh.
Everything that's happening right now, like I'm not like sitting here like celebrating. This is awful. And it's really awful that I think it's a legit choice. So, just continuing with Walt Disney's, Renaissance, his Silver Age was then, Cinderella and Peter Pan and Sleeping Beauty and Mary Poppins. So he had like an age of making these movies that were classics. He had to change up for a little bit because of the war. He came back and he made a ton of other classics, and, he passed away as some of these movies were being, like The Jungle Book came out after he had passed away. And then you get into a new era of The Fox and the Hound, which is cute. The Black Cauldron, which ain't great. And a time where Disney was really struggling to get the Disney magic back after Walt had left the company. Eventually, they reclaimed it with the help of Howard Ashman and with the help of basically their animation studio being given a lot of range to do some things, and a lot of creative people who loved Disney and honored, sort of the magic, being able to make some great things, whether it's the Disney Afternoon and various cartoons and stuff that they made to produce in-house. A lot of great stuff happened there. And Howard Ashman's run, which, it's Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and he passes away, I think, before he can actually see Aladdin, which was one of the ones that was most personal to him. He also wrote Little Shop of Horrors, was my favorite musical of all time. I'm a huge Howard Ashman fan. There's still Aladdin being remade, Beauty and the Beast being remade. Have we remade? What's the other one? Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Little Mermaid. Yeah, and we remade Little Mermaid. So, I mean, this man is like, they're still capitalizing on him all these years later. I've talked about the Sherman Brothers, Mary Poppins, and, how much mileage we're getting out of the Sherman Brothers. So these are brilliant, creative people that are now dead, but they're still reanimating their brilliance and bringing them back in these remakes. And so every bit of the success that they have here, it's fucking easy when you're basing it on a fucking Howard Ashman classic, on some Sherman Brothers classic. It's and classic books that these are written on, and the concepts there are very, very fundamental. And even when you're screwing it up, it's hard to fucking screw up some of this stuff. And yet we've gotten to a point where they very much are. Coming off of Howard Ashman, they needed to follow it up with somebody huge because they had great songwriting. So they brought in Elton John for Lion King, and of course that one's standing the test of time. And they had a pretty good run after that, keeping it going. There's some good movies that come out of it. There's some okay movies that come out of it. In the post-Renaissance era, you got movies like Dinosaur, but you got Lilo and Stitch and Emperor's New Groove. So, there was like hit and miss, and this has tended to be the thing. They'll have like moments in time where they'll really get some piece of their apparatus crack-a-lacking. They were trying various live action things, but they didn't get it going until the Pirates of the Caribbean. And then some of their things coming out of Pirates of the Caribbean were successful, and then other things not so much. I mean, and I include that with like Lone Ranger and John Carter of Mars and things like that were coming out at the time. So, they have gone up and down, and they've had these ups. The last up, as I was talking about, was during John Lasseter's time, okay? And let me just tell you what happened when Lasseter came in, okay? He came in and he did some tinkering on Meet the Robinsons because he had just come in and it was about to release. And Meet the Robinsons is fucking great. If you haven't seen Meet the Robinsons, it's an excellent Disney animated film. Definitely like top 50 for me. Bolt, he restructured the plot, changed the tone, character designs. I like Bolt okay, but I think Bolt was a little just fundamentally superficial to begin with. It couldn't be saved on that level. But Bolt is an enjoyable Disney film. Then Tangled Tangled is one of my favorite Disney animated films of all time. Tangled absolutely opened up the door for the success of Frozen. I don't think Frozen would have been half as successful if not for the success of Tangled, and I think Tangled is 10 times better. Then they did a Winnie the Pooh movie, classically animated. It's great. Wreck-It Ralph after that. Wreck-It Ralph is, I think, my favorite Disney movie of all time. The sequel kind of killed it for me. I don't know what happened there. Technically speaking, Lasseter was involved in that one. I don't know what the fuck happened with that movie, but that movie sucks. But Wreck-It Ralph, then Frozen, Big Hero 6, which is super fun and was like, should have been the beginning of them doing some more things with that universe. But of course, once John Lasseter was gone, there was nobody to fucking put any energy into that. Zootopia. Sorry, I dropped my phone. Moana, another classic. And, they just did I haven't seen it yet. I hear mixed things. My family said that they quite liked it, but I hear it's largely a regurgitation of the first one. And, that it was an original. And then here we are with a sequel and, just whatever. Just whatever, man. John Lasseter was what the doctor ordered. This guy was the creative director at Pixar through all of their classics, and then was still overseeing things at Pixar as they made Ratatouille, Cars, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Cars 2, Brave, Monsters University, Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, which we'll forget about, Finding Dory, which is pretty good, Cars 3, which is cool, Coco, which was one of the last ones that he was overseeing on his way out the door. And I think Incredibles 2, he still had a little hands on that. And then even he opened the door to the live action wave of Disney classics, which they did Alice in Wonderland, and they did The Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast. And Alice in Wonderland was a huge hit for them. I didn't necessarily love that movie myself, but other people did. And The Jungle Book and the Beauty and the Beast, those were the two that went over the best, that I think have kind of paved the way for these other ones that have been coming out since, which I don't like them. I just, like, in general, I just kind of go, meh. I'm not even sure if I've ever made that sound before. But that's the sound I want to make. Meh. Meh. Me. So you've got this new Snow White coming out, and you've got Snow White of old that kicked everything off. And suffice to say, things are not looking good for this new Snow White movie. And, we'll get into that in a second. But I want to get back to what I was saying about theme parks. Disneyland and Disney World is a theme park. Disney has been impenetrable. It's been a place where there's essentially, sort of like a waiting list to get in there, kind of thing. On one level or another, whether it's you're trying to get into different hotels and, the prices, the prices keep going up and up. And Disney was able to do this because the demand was there. Because these are theme parks. They're not adventure thrill parks. They're not filled with roller coasters. They're filled with themed rides. The rides are themed largely based on films and animation and things that they've made. Now, just recently, I was writing a little thing of my resume. And it's so funny because I've done this a million times before, and I was writing credits, and in parentheses I wrote, I've written for Marvel, DC, Disney Pixar. And when I thought Disney Pixar, for the first time ever, I realized that Pixar didn't mean what it used to mean. Marvel and DC were always a little bit of a mixed bag because, they make there's some terrible comics that they've made over the years, but there are some great ones, and the art form of comic books is a great art form and worth indulging in for the ones that are really great. But that's not to say that it's just all perfect all the time. So, you say you work for Marvel, you work for DC, people who know, they know, oh, cool. Well, that's cool that he worked for Marvel and DC. I think that's cool. Is essentially as cool as you can get from just saying, I've worked for these companies. However, when I would write Disney Pixar, that really carried with it a certain something. Even with the comic books that me and Aaron had produced early at the time, the level of work that we did on this stuff was really high. And that was our intention. We wanted to match the high bar that Pixar had set. And when I wrote it on my resume, I thought, oh, well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a high bar anymore. So much time has passed since I've done my work at Pixar. So many other things have been at Pixar. And the thing that Pixar used to mean, which was just like this almost impenetrable wall of great stuff, doesn't mean that anymore. It didn't mean that anymore. What's that going to do to your theme park? Disney, which had come, even though there was little bouts of Black Cauldron, which was maybe a good choice, but they kind of pulled the punch in various ways and didn't exactly execute right. Walt Disney's gone, your visionary's gone, and now you just have executives behind the scenes who don't want to lose their job, and now all of a sudden nobody can make a straight decision for a little while. Yeah, that's how it goes. That's what happens. So you go back and forth, and you eventually get some people in the company start to trust, and you get a little renaissance of this or renaissance of that, renaissance of this, renaissance of that. You put the right person in charge, like John Lasseter, because you see that he's doing the right things at Pixar, and all of a sudden you start getting a renaissance at Marvel, and at Disney, and then all of a sudden you see all these big acquisitions, Marvel, and they've got a renaissance in Star Wars, and it's a dynasty, and Pixar's in there now, and the Muppets, and you're just filled with all of this goodwill. Your theme park is assured. Now, flash forward 20 years later, how are we doing with that Muppets license? Have we introduced those characters to new audiences in ways that will live with them for forever? Or fleetingly? Tell me, do you think those Jason Segel movies were enough to live with kids forever? A movie about nostalgia? A movie about old people, the old Muppets coming back into fruition? Do you think that resonates with the youth? Do you think the kids who grew up watching that movie are like, I love the Muppets the most because of this film? The Muppets were created by the television show. The television show were beamed into people's homes weekly. People got to get with them over 5 years, 5 seasons, then in reruns, releases on VHS, DVD, whatever else. Then they went into films. And then, the films were original and the beginning of their journey. Not like, hey, we're coming back and we're making it really obvious that it's all like a remake and a rehash and whatever else. Like, the Muppets are universal and they appeal to anyone at any time, in any place. It's kind of insane to sort of make them like a retro thing. Like, they're not retro. It was groundbreaking. The ground has been broken. Now puppets exist and they're here. And what are we doing? Like, they weren't not famous anymore because they sucked. They were not famous anymore because you guys weren't capitalizing on them. Because nobody was doing anything great with them. And then when you went to go do some things with them, they weren't so great. And certainly the people who watch the TV shows and whatnot, they're not getting imprinted for the Muppets. So how's that theme going? I mean, granted, that's still that old audience like me who's aging, and they can appeal to us. How about Star Wars? Used to put Star Wars on your resume. You were an action director, you were an editor or sound effects person. It said Star Wars. Wow. Now people go, oh, which one you work on? What Star Wars? There's so much Star Wars, and most of it's not good. Like, I mean, now if you want to do like an hours comparison to how many hours of shitty Star Wars they've made and how many hours of great Star Wars there is, I think the differential is huge. Because the hours of good Star Wars is in film and the hours of shitty Star Wars is largely in TV. And, you know, they just fucking milling around doing whatever the fuck they want in TV land. It's like take out the first 2 movies from that shitty Boba Fett series by itself, probably. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, so what is the weight for how much energy people have in their hearts of, you know, oh, what do they think of when they think of Star Wars? A lot of shit. I know that I do. My kids have not gotten into Star Wars multiple times now. I've been like, hey, you want to watch the new? And then, and I've like forced it on them a couple times when they were younger. And like, I guess that was like but they never really gravitated towards it. And I don't know why or what it is, but like, you know, on whatever level of their superficial version of Star Wars, they didn't even do a good job with that. How about the Marvel Universe now? How we doing? I mean, I know we just got Deadpool and Wolverine, but dude, we got some bad things going. I mean, my daughter heard it through the grapevine that the Agatha All Along show's pretty good. She might watch it, but she hasn't yet. And doesn't seem like anybody did. The Star Wars Skeleton Key show just came out. Nobody's talking about it. Which means that when people were talking about the Acolyte, not a lot of people were necessarily watching those videos either. So even less people were motivated to review it and talk about it this time. Because when people think of Star Wars, they just think, who gives a shit? Like, it's like aggravating. There's too much like exhaustive energy that's been put into this thing already. I don't want to exhaust myself anymore with this bullshit. Ugh. This is the place that we've gotten to. Now, the Marvel Universe is going to be seemingly getting by with a lot of stunts like what they just did with Deadpool and Wolverine, which is great and needed, you know, straight out of the comics. But a lot of what they're going to be doing moving forward from here, I promise you, they're going to have learned all the wrong lessons from this. And, you know, it's going to be a real mixed bag. There's going to be some moments of awesomeness in some of the movies, and most of it's going to be, ugh. And very quickly, the audience is going to go, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. And they're going to tune out too. This theme here is a downward theme. You know, the Disney Channel kids that, you know, we have and like the people who grew up on Disney stuff or whatever, they're really testing us, raising the prices. You know it's cheaper to go on a 6-day vacation to Disneyland Paris than it is to go to Disneyland. How expensive it is, the inflation, whatever else for food and everything that you might be dealing with in here in America. And they raise the prices because this was the place. This was the theme park. This is the original. This is the place that Walt has his fingers on. This is where it all began. Club 33. Let's get in on this shit. But that's when a thing is cool. And that's because this keeps coming back around again. A new renaissance comes, a new renaissance comes, a new renaissance comes, a new renaissance comes. Well, they got rid of Lasseter, and it's been a steady decline. But it's a decline that I don't think they're going to be able to sustain. Now, you might say, oh, you know, Jesse, they're a big company. You know, of course, they're going to be able to survive these things. Well, because of all of this inflation at their parks, because, you know, yesterday they couldn't be beat. They were a themed park, and their theme was just a myriad of things that people fucking loved. And now their theme is a myriad of things that people are a bit aggravated with. You've got Sorry, I'm going through my notes here. Um, their stock, which went under 100 a little bit ago, and has rebounded, but they have been coming down from this high perch that they've been at. I think it's a calculated thing. I think the choice with Snow White is a calculated thing. It just seems too coincidental. Leading up to this, on the Marvel side of things, you've got Captain America, Brave New World, or whatever. I think that's the one. Oh boy, this is not good. It's not going to be good, and they have already spent easily $500,000 on this film. It has no real basis for the comics. I mean, yes, Sam Wilson did become Falcon. He didn't fight the Red Hulk. This isn't how the Red Hulk was introduced. The Red Hulk was never the president that I can remember. None of this is, oh man, can't wait. I've been waiting to see that on screen for so long. Moana 2 is, it had a good weekend, but it has shown major signs that it is dropping off, which shows a sign of hardcore fan interest and then less so energy for Disney beyond that. Moana's live-action remake is pacing poorly. Snow White has been getting disliked into oblivion. I said Skeleton Crew flopped on the streaming surface. Mufasa, the director of the live-action Mufasa, is already coming out before the movie's release saying that this isn't for him, directing all CGI and all these things, that it's not for him, which is usually a precursor to a bad movie and is usually a precursor to reshoots and extra money having to be spent on said movie. And this is just more on Snow White. I mean, the costs are insane. The fact that they are spending $500,000 on every one of these movies is just, it's insane. The amount of spending on all of the Disney films of late has been abhorrent. And you just can't dig out of this. This is losing money. And Snow White is going to be the icing on the cake. And there is a lot of things going on with Disney. Disney Plus has got to be losing money. They don't even have to show you exactly how much money they're losing on shows and stuff when people aren't tuning into Disney Plus. There's a lot of weird things that happen with Disney and Disney Plus, and things about them privatizing their whole collection, whatnot, that ultimately were not a good idea, which you can see in hindsight. But they still have not exactly diversified beyond that enough. And I'm sure there's little rejigger here and rejigger there. But eventually, this is going to catch up to them. And I think we are reaching a state with Disney of apathy. Apathy for Skeleton Crew after apathy for The Acolyte. Moana, there's a little bit of a surge for Moana 2, but now, second week, we're experiencing a drop-off. The Disney shine, the Disney magic has been lost. The Disney magic is an echo. And every time they sort of bring it back now, it's just an echo of the thing. And if you were a nefarious piece of crap, probably Satan-worshipping globalist asshole, with this wonderful company coming up and making people happy, wouldn't you want to friggin' subvert that, which they have in one way or another, and then destroy it? And how apt would it be to destroy it with a live-action version, a superficial, physical person acted version of the beautiful, artistic original. And it's insane. This Rachel Zegler character, she is like a PR nightmare for everything that she's in. And she's in so many things. Like, so many things, it's suspicious to me. So many things, it's suspicious. I mean, I don't find her to be this talented or this attractive or this charming. Maybe your mileage may vary. Hunger Games and Snow White, and she just had another movie that just came out, and that one did not do well either. And she seems like a plant. She seems like a plant. And I mean, even the things that she said, like, I just feel like they told her to say that. Somebody said, go shit on Walt Disney's legacy right now. The internet will go wild. And this will be the final nail in the coffin. And this will be when we pull XYZ and we decide to tank the Walt Disney Company. Just in time for the release of the Snow White live action film. And the film that brought Disney to life will be the film that destroys Disney. This is just my prediction based on what I am seeing here. And then all of a sudden, Marvel will be sold and Pixar will be, everything will be sold and they'll be pieced up into a bunch of companies and Walt Disney World will go into mothballs, or somebody will try to buy it up, or they won't because there'll be too much taxes, or there'll be some crazy thing on it, and all of a sudden it'll be like a fucking zombie apocalypse at Disney World. I mean, this is unfortunately the future for Disney that I am seeing at the moment. They have to make some very major changes to fix anything that's going on here. In fact, I don't really plan to cover much of anything on them moving forward because I don't care. I don't think you do either. You know, this is sort of like the retrospective. This is saying goodbye. Why is it sad? Makes us remember the good times we've had. It's sad, but they do not have a viable plan on the table. And John Lasseter's off doing other things, and what does Pixar mean now? What does Star Wars mean now? What does Disney Magic mean now? If you haven't seen the latest trailer for Snow White, I just watched it with my oldest kids, my 16-year-old daughter and my 13-year-old son. Or is he 14 now? Did we just turn 14? Oh, she's not 16 yet. That's why. He's 13 and she's 15. She's going to be 16. And they were just sort of like, ugh. And I mean, that's all I had to say about it either. It was ugh. And I mean, this is like, I'm the audience, man. I'm the fucking Disney fan who did my honeymoon at Disney with my ex. But my kids, they've been raised on Disney. We love Disney stuff. We love Marvel stuff. We love this stuff. I shouldn't play trailers for the latest Marvel thing to my daughter and have her be like, oh God, oh my God. Like, she's your audience. She's there for it. And you're letting her down. Just like you're letting me down. And granted, I'm harder to fully satisfy because you're really fucking majorly off the mark. But you could be not satisfying me and find a way to satisfy her, I'm sure. Because that happens all the time. She loves the Flash TV series. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I liked it. At a certain point, I was like, I'm good. I just hate the soap opera-y, drama-y bit of so much of that TV shit. It just drives me crazy. But it's there. Like, you could have made her so happy. But no, we can't have nice things. So you trash everything about the Snow White film in the press, and then you get. I mean, granted, there are some seemingly circumstantial things. But I don't know. Maybe Peter Dinklage is a plant too. And Peter Dinklage's tweet about how, like, he said something to the effect of, like, I hope Disney's not thinking about casting a bunch of little people in Snow White and setting our people back a millennia or something like that. I don't know. And and then they got all gung shy. And at first they did like this whole, there was like a photo that leaked of these instead of 7 dwarves, they were like 7 people who lived in the woods in a commune or something. And they were all very diverse. And then people saw that and they were like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm not going to see this. And then they changed that, and then they're like, "Hey, are CGI dwarves?" And then I think they used AI to like design them, and just sent that out the door. If you've seen the latest trailer, and then they got some new shitty song in the freaking thing that they made up themselves to go along with these classics that I don't even know if they're going to line up. I mean, the most egregious thing for me, and the thing that makes me say I'm not going to go see it, I don't want to see it, is they showed the scene of Snow White singing Whistle While You Work. Well, she's supposed to be singing Whistle While You Work while the dwarves are helping her clean, but she's not cleaning. She's just singing and they're cleaning. I think this shit is hysterical because it's like the most obvious thing ever, like modern day, right? You know, we can't have a woman cleaning a house. This is so fucking stupid. Talk about taking things to unhealthy extremes. Like, one, this is a nice gesture that Snow White makes to ingratiate herself to her guests. Her hosts. Maybe if I clean up their house, they'll be so grateful that they won't mind that I stayed. They won't mind that I slept in their bed. This notion of her singing while they clean. You should have a clean house. You can do it, dwarves. I don't know. She's not British, is she? Not in the original. Snow White. I don't remember whatever. Ha 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 ha. It's very like fluttery. I don't know. Are you a Disney fan? Are you like distraught over this? Write me at jesseblaze@jessesnyder.com. I think this shit is insane. I think it's insane how many bad things they have to come. I don't think that their planned Star Wars Mandalorian movie is going to be the thing. I don't think that their next I don't think Thunderbolts is going to pull them out of this thing. I'm thinking that Thunderbolts is going to have not a lot of people show up to the theater to see it. I think the energy I think that ship has sailed. But we shall see. We will see pretty shortly. As I think in March, or by March, we should have Captain America and Snow White out in theaters. And we will see what happens. But as far as I'm concerned, I believe this is the end of the Disney company. And I think they're doing it on purpose. So we'll see. If you're a music fan like me, I hope you're listening to my music show that I do every Monday. It's called All Your Favorite Bands Suck. It's just all of my favorite bands that I think don't get enough respect and attention in the world. And every show is like 45 minutes to an hour of me covering one of my favorite bands. There's humor bands, punk bands, metal bands, ska bands, all sorts of shit. Go check it out. And then also I do an esoteric wisdom show every Friday. If you want to like learn what the Freemasons and other secret societies are teaching their people, come listen to my show. I got to record that later today because I am behind. Anyway, I love you. Thank you so much for listening to my show. We keep going up in listenership and getting more ad revenue and more ads every week and stuff. And thank you so much for participating in those things and using your CGA codes to get discounts on stuff, because it really helps us to grow the show and keep maintaining what we're doing here. I'll be back with a coolest pick of some kind shortly in like a day for the Saturday show. I don't know what I'm doing it on yet, but I will figure it out in the next few hours, I'm sure. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks so much for listening, and hope you'll join me again next Wednesday for another fucking awesome episode of The Coolest Geek Alive. Love ya. Bye. You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snyder. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content.
Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part. Isn't that heavy? I'll play that. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living your shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top of the awesome. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground. Hooray!